Welcome to 180 Drums. We have our man, Tim Buell, in the house. I'm going to stop punching his arm because I've done that enough today. In today's lesson, what are you teaching us, man?
I am going to teach, so we've talked about the pyramid. We've talked about different subdivisions, getting comfortable with the hands. So once you have it in the hands, just with singles, the next step is before you move on to any other rudiment, you're still maximizing this one thing, which is singles, and you're going to add some foot patterns.
You're telling me we're going to still not change our hands and spice this up more.
Oh, yeah.
Come on.
Because you could spend your whole drumming career only learning singles.
It's true, yeah.
Probably shouldn't, and no one really does, but you want to get as much as you can out of it. So without learning any new sticking, we're not doing doubles, we're not doing paradiddles yet, just singles, you can still get more out of it. Because now you're going to work on four-way coordination. You've had it all in the hands, but now you want to involve your feet.
Yeah.
So, because that's going to help your foot technique and your independence. So, start off really easy just by doing quarter notes with both feet. Not just the kick drum. This hi-hat has a pedal attached to it, and you can step on it, and it makes a noise, and you need to know how to use that, right?
I totally agree.
Because we always forget that your hi-hat can move up and down and make its own thing. We only think that the foot pedal is there to open or close it when we're playing it, but it's not. You can step on it, and it's its own sound, and it's important to focus on. Right?
Inspire us for a second. Show us something where you incorporate that into a groove or a fill. You could play the 50 ways to leave your lover.
Right. All right, yeah. Right?
Such a genius. Such a genius. That was great. That's never something that I would have went for, so that was awesome.
Right.
I would have went for like a 1E and a 2, but you were just like, groove in, using it as a bass drum pedal instead, right? As that bass drum placement.
It's its own thing, and you can splash it, or you can close it, and yeah.
Love it. Okay, great. So we're going to learn to start with, what do you want to start with? To play overtop. So we're still playing the same thing. We're still playing that pyramid. The right, left, underneath with all the subdivisions. And then underneath all that, we're going to place a foot pattern. What are you thinking?
Let's just start quarter notes on both feet. At the same time, you're just stomping hi-hat and bass drum together. 1, 2, and 3, and 4.
Fantastic.
That's it.
I just got to say that your subdivision from 30-second notes to sextuplets was so seamless, so smooth. I picked up on that. I heard that. I know you impressed yourself on that one. You're like, man, that felt good.
Killing.
That's right.
Killing
it. Okay, great, dude.
And that's the first one. And what I'd do from there is then I'd split it up. Quarter notes, alternate quarter notes. So 1, 2, 3, 4.
Great, demonstrate it. Let's hear it.
And I'll only go up, just for sake of not having
time. Love it. I love how this time as well, like the fact that there's more space there is going to challenge your brain in a different way. And at the end of the day, we're learning all of this stuff. The importance of all these exercises are so that we can just start to shut off our brain when we're really playing.
Totally.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Awesome, man. Okay, this is great, and you have another bass drum pattern as well. So I'd encourage you guys, take some time, go nice and slow with these ideas. You can practice this stuff on your lap, just playing hands on your lap, because really, your hands are just, the sticks are just an extension of what your hands are already doing. And you can practice it sitting, feet on the floor. I know even dudes like Larnell Lewis, if you guys have heard of Snarky Puppy, he's a fill-in there. He is someone who practices a lot just with his hands. He'll learn entire songs just playing on the ground.
Yeah.
Luke Holland is somebody who, when he went and played, there's been a couple times where he's played live on TV to certain songs that he didn't know. He was playing covers, and he had to learn them the night before in his hotel room, and he air drummed them to learn them.
Yeah.
And the first time he ever played it was at a drum kit. So all that is to say, you can practice this right now, wherever you're sitting. If you're on a mobile device, you're on a bus, you want to drive some people crazy, I'm done talking. I digress. That's the goal, right?
You can practice them anywhere.
Yeah.
Especially like Vic Firth makes these like practice tips you can put in your sticks, and you can drum on any surface. Like these days, you can practice anywhere.
That was a good Vic Firth plug.
Right? It was pretty nice.
That was well put together.
Vic Firth.
That's right. It's like the Wayne's World moment.
But no, they are so great. You can put them on any stick, and that way, wherever you're at, if you're on the bus and you won't want to bring a practice pad and like your bass drum pedal practice set, you know what I mean? Like you can just
practice your subdivisions.
Pull out your sticks, practice your subdivisions.
Yeah.
Because we want, and that, like I have a friend that cuts hair, right? And when he's in his shop, he has a second, pull out his drumsticks and practice on his counter in his shop.
Nice.
You can practice anywhere, and that's the thing. This doesn't have to be like you sit down for an hour and a half and you practice the subdivision thing. Let this be a warm-up. Your first 5 minutes, you say, okay, for 5 minutes, I'm going to set a timer. I'm going to do this subdivision pyramid thing for 5 minutes. And then when I'm done, I only have 30 minutes to practice. So when I'm done, I'm moving on. But for 5 minutes, I'm going to totally dedicate it to this thing right here.
Yeah, I totally agree.
You're going to win by doing this 5 minutes a day more than you are every Saturday when you finally have 2 hours. You like sit down and kind of get through this.
Right.
And then forget about it for a week. Or
That's
two,
right.
You know.
That's right. And if you guys are feeling like you've got this down, if this is easy, I'd encourage and challenge you guys, lead it with your left. Try leading the whole thing with your left hand, because it's the exact same principle. But I find a lot of times if we have a weak left hand, I was thinking about this because I was picturing that barber trying to like improve his left hand and being like, I'm going to shave everybody's hair with my left hand to improve. It's an awful idea, but
it would probably not look as good as it could. That's for sure.
But learning to lead it with the left is a huge thing.
Yeah.
So, okay, great. You have another bass drum pattern. Let's get to it.
Let's do a samba. So, a lot of people are familiar with the samba. We were talking before. You can count a samba as a cut time, so it's based around like quarter notes and eighth notes, or as a double time, so it's based around like eighth notes and 16th notes. So when I talk about a samba, I think of the kick drum pattern as 1E and a 2E and a 3E and a 4E and the hi-hat is playing the ands. So 1E and a 2E and a 3E and a 4E, right?
Yeah.
So that's how I think about it. So this is how that kick pattern would sound. And one more thing. The trickiest part on this one is going to be the eighth note triplets, because eighth note triplets don't line up with that last 16th note you're playing in the kick drum.
I guess the easiest way to understand that is if you had a pie, best way to explain it, you had one of them cut in half, which was 8 notes, and you had the other one cut into 3. The only thing that would line up would be that center would be beat 1. So you'd have, right? It's your left foot that's going to be overlapping?
Yeah, your left foot. Well, so it'll... nothing overlaps, actually.
1. Ah, okay.
Nothing.
Okay.
And what it's going to be is... maybe you're right. No, you're not right.
We're about to find out.
We're about to find out. Well, let's isolate that one part, and then we'll move on. Let's isolate that one part.
I would just like to now say that I was in fact correct.
Oh,
with that left
no.
foot. Yeah.
Oh, yeah, you're right. Oh, I hate it when Jake's right.
Sheesh, guys. Get used to it, man. Get used to it.
I know.
I'm messing around. Okay, so we've got that overlapping where the right hand's playing trip-ball-let, 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 and that left foot. But it's, oh, no, I don't. Yeah. right? Left
Yeah.
foot's doing that while your right hand's playing the triplet. So that's just one thing to keep in mind, I guess, is that there's going to be that moment where there's going to be the switch and the overlap. So you just got to be paying attention to that.
And it's tough. I would really isolate this and make sure that, because sometimes your right foot might be tempted to start lining up with the triplet in the hand, that last partial of the triplet. Sometimes your bass drum will sneak into lining up with that, and it's not supposed to.
So boom, chick, boom, chick, boom, boom.
Right.
Right? Dragging
it.
Instead of keeping it nice and solid,
right.
one E and a 2 and a 3 and a 4. Boom, 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 boom. Keeping them 16th notes. Yeah. Gotcha.
Yeah.
Gotcha. All right, so take us through the pyramid.
Yeah, let's do it.
That is not for the faint of heart. Wow.
Yeah.
Okay.
And you want to go up and then back down. I only went up.
Yes.
You want to go back down.
And that'll take some time to really go slow.
Oh, yeah.
This is the ultimate example where if you're a little confused, this is a really good time for you to isolate sections.
Yeah.
So
absolutely.
I try and explain this to students all the time. They'll get overwhelmed. This is like the number one rule to learning anything is if you're confused, you probably just have to break it down into pieces. There's all these people trying to take a steak and eat the whole thing at once instead of just cutting a piece of the steak and enjoying it, right?
Yeah.
That's drumming. Just cut off a piece of this pattern if you need to and be like, man, that eighth note triplet part every time I get through it in the pyramid. Well, then isolate it.
Yeah.
Isolate that part.
Yeah, you're only as strong as your weakest link, too.
Yes.
So, and it's this exercise or a song, you know, if you have one section during the bridge where you always flub it up.
Yeah.
You're always going to flub it up until you take that bridge and say, okay, I'm going to nail this bridge so that it's that I can play it as well as the rest of the song.
Yeah, big time.
And this is the same thing as this exercise. You don't want any section to always mess you up. You want to isolate that section that's giving you problems so that the whole thing works because you don't really have it until you have it all.
Yes.
You know?
That's a good way
you can't
of looking
really
at
play the exercise until you can play the whole thing.
Yeah. All the pieces.
Oh, yeah.
All the pieces. Okay, cool. So, anything else you want to add to this, man? I mean, that you've given us the overview. You've showed us how single strokes can be used, just understanding subdivisions, then beginning to apply bass drum patterns. Do you have one more bass drum pattern?
I mean, the bass drum patterns are endless. Because this is only the bass drum patterns that are based on 8th notes or 16th notes. You can do triplet bass drum patterns. You can do anything.
Do you have any ideas there?
Oh, maybe.
Okay. What's the you had another one that you were showing me that I think would be good to use.
So, and this one is like this is a cool just pattern to add to your arsenal in your feet anyway. And it's kind of based on a songo kick pattern. So the kick pattern by itself is still based on 16th notes, and the hi-hat is on the ands, all the upbeats, and so you kind of have this action.
Craziness. Yikes.
Yeah.
This guy's Thomas Lang over here.
Not at all.
That's amazing, though.
Crazy.
That's okay. So, again, best thing to do is if it's overwhelming, slow it down.
Yeah.
Look at the PDF. Understand how things line up, because you didn't just. I think it's important to note that Tim didn't just accidentally play it right.
No.
You weren't like, oh, I just accident. I find students will oftentimes do that where. Anytime there's any type of independence and polyrhythms like this, you're playing a rhythm, polyrhythms, multiple rhythms, you're playing a rhythm on your feet, and then you're playing a rhythm over top with your hands, and every bar, that rhythm with your hands is changing over top of the foot pattern.
Yep.
So it's easy to just think, if I just play the foot pattern long enough with single strokes, and then just fight my way into a new, you have to understand it, right?
You have to understand where it lines up, where it doesn't line up, and and I had in this practice room in college, there was this sign. It was kind of cheesy, but now I kind of believe in it. It was like, don't
Reach for the stars. Oh, sorry, you have a different one?
it's similar, but like it actually works out in real life because it's totally true. Don't practice until you get it right. Practice until you can't get it wrong.
That's a great one.
And it's a little cheesy, but it's true. Like you're saying, if you're just like sometimes starting the foot pattern, you start off eighth notes, and then like miraculously you get through it.
Yeah.
But the whole time you were just like right on the edge of everything falling apart.
Yeah, that's not the goal.
Yeah, at some point, especially when, if you want to throw it into a solo and you're going to have to play it in front of a bunch of people, and like it's going to fall apart then.
Right.
Because now you have adrenaline, extra adrenaline, you have people watching you, you have so much other brain power being taken up with other stuff.
If you miss, you have to be able to recuperate because it's music. It's not stopping. So you got to be able to. It's not like when you're in the practice room. I think one of the most revealing things for me, honestly, has been being on 180, playing, where you're suddenly like, man, it's always being monitored. It's not even like I'm learning a song. Where with songs, I've planned for the most part what I'm going to play, and there's maybe a couple sections or a couple fills where I am going to wing it to give it some like natural what I feel in that moment. But when you're playing drums on camera and you can't rehearse everything you're going to play every time Jake's putting you on the spot.
Totally.
Right? So this is where it matters the most, is that you've laid that solid foundation. So for you guys, these exercises are not only improving our understanding of subdivisions, but are going to really challenge our independence and our overall control. So this is awesome, man.
Yeah, man.
All right, dude, this is great. Our next lesson, we're diving into now actually taking some rudiments.
Yeah.
Right?
Yep.
Sheesh. All right, dude, play us out.
All right.